The nation's education system isn't just failing, it's a grave national security threat. That's according to a new report from the Council on Foreign Relations. A 31-member task force co-chaired by former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice concluded it's in the country's national interest to increase testing and expand charter schools. But grassroots education advocates are roundly criticizing the report, both for its conclusions and what it leaves out. The 100-page report makes direct connections between the U.S. education system and the government's desire to have qualified candidates for the military, the State Department, intelligence agencies, and weapons manufacturers. Joel Klein is co-chair of the Council on Foreign Relations task force that authored the report.
Today in America, 3/4 of our kids are simply ineligible for the military. More than half of those kids are ineligible simply because they don't have the requisite academic performance levels. I mean, even kids who are graduating high school. Now, that in and of whatever you think about, sort of the challenges we face, it's a startling statistic.
To address these issues, the task force recommends escalating reforms that started with No Child Left Behind in 2002 and were expanded under the Obama administration's Race to the Top program. These reforms include increasing testing, holding teachers accountable for student performance, and setting national benchmarks known as Common Core. Klein says the most crucial reform is closing more so-called failing schools and replacing them with publicly funded but privately run charter schools.
If I had $1 to spend right now, I would probably spend it on the core recommendation of this report to facilitate increased choice, because I think choice will lead to a merit-based and an innovation-driven system, and that's what I think we need.
The task force did include several dissenting members, including American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten, who endorsed the recommendations with reservations. A more vocal opponent is NYU research professor Diane Ravitch.
The public schools are not a national security risk. This is ridiculous.
Ravitch was an education advisor under former Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton. She said she originally supported No Child Left Behind in charter schools, but now is among their leading critics.
And the overwhelming evidence in charter research is that charters do not get better results than regular public schools. And yet the panel decides to cherry pick the one or two studies they could find that find good results. But there are an overwhelming number of studies that say that the results are no different from regular public schools.
Ravitch also questions how the report endorsed increasing testing in the face of growing public resistance.
Probably the most important thing that's happening right now in education is that there are school boards and all sorts of organizations rising up to say enough with the testing. It's gotten out of control. It's ridiculous. In Texas, where all this started, something like close to 250 school boards have passed anti-high-stakes testing resolutions.
Critics also say the report omitted reforms that are linked to student achievement.
Expanding early childhood and pre-kindergarten is something that's been proven to work. And really offering a well-rounded curriculum, and instead of high-stakes testing, do portfolio assessments and things like that.
Lainey Hameson is executive director of the education nonprofit Class Size Matters.
So there isn't a whole alternative agenda which I think parents and teachers would welcome with open arms, only we're not being offered that chance. Instead, it looks to us often like they are purposefully damaging and driving our schools into the ground in order that they can be more easily privatized and turned into charter schools.
The policies laid out in the report are being pushed across the country. Klein, former New York City schools chancellor from 2002 to 2010, is also on the board of a new organization called Students First NY that aims to raise $50 million over the next 5 years to expand charter schools and teacher accountability in New York. Teachers, parents, and students have vowed to fight these efforts. The Washington Post reported that Klein vetoed a task force member's request Ravitch present ideas before the panel. When questioned, Klein denied the claim.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Reporting for FSRN on The Real News, this is Jessel Noor in New York.